Hey, good afternoon. It's Roy from Sulphur City Foundry again down here in New Zealand. I'm just bringing you a quick overview video of a new hilt that landed on our doorstep via courier this morning. Now some of you would have received these already, but I haven't seen too many vids go up of reviews of them. So what we're going to be looking at today is the Imperial Knight hilt from Pheonix Props and 7 chambers. Okay, first off, the hilt comes in a nice tidy little box. Quite a nice quite a nice high quality box there. When it arrives, you'll find that the hilt is tucked away quite nicely in a high density foam inner. So within the box you'll find a heatsink. You'll find the hilt itself. Not quite sure what that holds for. There wasn't anything in it. Would have been nice to see some Allen keys or the like in there, but that one was empty. And of course, the actual hilt itself. Now, I'll be straight up with you. Even when I saw this at concept drawings, I wasn't a great fan of the design. As a hilt design, probably doesn't appeal to me too much, but we've got a few guys down here in New Zealand and Australia fancy grabbing one of these. So we've brought some in, and we currently have 2 available on the store at the time of video. Okay, so what do we get on the hilt? Well, we've got a little thumb screw tucked away up here for a blade retention screw. It's unknurled, so it's quite smooth. So you'll have to have quite a good grip on it to move that from if that's done up quite tight. Just inside the hilt, there's a little grub screw for the heat sink. And again, I would have expected an Allen key to come shipped with this, but that wasn't in the box. But that would be a standard size Allen key that you probably have kicking around your saber box already. Tucked away at the bottom there's another very small screw which keeps the black inner and the outer collar screwed together. There's only one screw that does this, and it's that one down here. During assembly, again, that was on one of the hilts. I've got 3 in one of the hilts. That was quite tight to get undone, but you're probably only going to be undoing that once or so in your life when you're doing the installation. You'll notice that there's no buttonholes on the hilt. There are a couple of small holes drilled there for tactile buttons. So probably keeping more in line with the actual design rather than, you know, making it a bit more functional. So design is probably quite well adhered to, but don't expect any pretty LED buttons on the hilt. Vented pommel for your sound. There's a drilled little pointy bit at the bottom. I'm assuming that's going to be for a D-ring if people want to add one. No CoverTech wheel, so if you're looking to wear it on your belt, it's not going to happen. But again, that's probably bastardizes the design a little bit. Okay. So these are 3 grade A hilts that came in from 7 chambers. You would have seen there was a few grade Bs up for sale. You can get those from 7 chambers direct. We've just got 3 grade As currently in stock at the moment. Should also be noted that the saber comes with a designed stand. Quite a nice little stand there actually, with an element of design in it. Okay, so your saber can basically fit horizontally on that stand. Kind of expect to glue it together though. There's no real way of snap fitting or fixing this stand together. There are a couple of holes here just by the side of those legs. I assume you can use screws in there. I don't know, because I didn't actually get any screws with this, but they do look to be the same diameter all the way through, so they're not going to be self-tappers. Could be wrong. And the little stands here aren't actually snap fitted in, they fall out quite easily, so be prepared to, same with the base once they're removed, be prepared to glue that together. Otherwise quite a tidy little stand. There were some scratches in the brushed aluminium on the front there. Don't know if you could see it. That's I know you're dealing with metal, and metal has certain inconsistencies, but there's a few scratches on there that I possibly wouldn't have put through quality testing. So just a little, a few attention to detail for what is quite a high-end stand. That could be a little bit better, but it's not often you get a stand thrown in with a saber, so just take it for what it is. Okay, if we start taking one of these together, that's a complete one. To dismantle, you basically unscrew the pommel. Pommel looks like so. Once that's unscrewed, there's that small little screw at the bottom of the hilt. Can be quite difficult to get out, but once it's out, that will allow you to pull the two parts of the saber apart. Now I'm being very careful here. Design wise on this, it's a bit odd, because I personally think that if you dismantle this to do the install, you run the possibility of actually scratching your black anodized inner. So you don't want to be doing that too much, and if you do move it, you do want to be moving it quite carefully. Okay, so there's a little aluminium outer, very light piece of aluminium. Polishing on 2 of the 3 were actually pretty good. This one I think could be done a little bit better. Must be a different grade of aluminium between this, which has got a very high polish finish, and this cheaper aluminium tubing. Although you'll probably not notice unless you start getting very picky. It's the saber community, people are. You will notice that probably that's a little bit more difficult to get a mirror polish on than the end emitter. But once it's on your shelf, you're not going to know. Some people who are particularly picky might want to just rebuff that at their own end. Just going back to the comment of this thing possibly scratching the inner anodized core. I mean, that's not as smooth as it could be. I'm running the gloves over the edges, and it's actually catching on little rough bits on the metal, and I feel that the inside of that could have been polished out as well. That's actually pretty much just raw as it comes out of the extruder. So for high-end hilt, I'm not normally picky. I mean, I'll forgive a few faults, but that one, in terms of being able to damage the inside anodized core, I thought was a bit of an oversight. But like I said, if you're doing an install, just move this very carefully, and you should be fine. Anodizing does have a fair degree of resistance to it. Okay, so on the inner core, there's actually a little cutout chamber. I think the idea was you could undo this screw, twist the core around and use it for display with the crystal chamber in there. Again, I'd be quite reluctant to do any kind of spinning just in case of scratching this up. If you did want to keep it scratched, I know some people might want to get some, you know, whether that's lightly just to bring out the edges, but again, for those who want to keep it pristine, you might want to not do that too much, again, if in case of risking a few scratches there. Okay, interior diameter 25mm, so any of the normal 7 chambers chassis, and Lewis has an open source one as well, will fit in there, so you'll be able to run a 24mm bass speaker, get a fairly decent amount of sound out of your saber. Thought that was a scratch, it's not. Just a bit of grease that's polished off. Oh yeah, when this came, there seemed to be a bit of crud in the see, my gloves are a little bit messy there. I started kind of cleaning it out, switched to a bit of tissue paper to finish the job. Kind of looked like it wasn't anodized properly, but when I started running a rag around there, it actually just took off a layer of what looked like grease, which is very weird after you know, post anodizing, but something you might want to do once your hilt turns up, if it looks just a little bit grungy in the grooves there. But once it's out, once it's cleaned up, yeah, not bad. Again, not my taste. And providing you are just a little bit careful with dismantling and putting it back together when you do the installation, you should be able to keep this relatively scratch free. And I know there's a lot of Imperial Knight fans out there, and I know a lot of people have received these over the last week or two and absolutely love them. And I can see that if you're an Imperial Knight fan, that would be a great saber to release. Like I said, just not my design, so I personally wouldn't pay a premium for one of these. But like I said, if you are a Imperial Knight fan, you likely will. You'll be happy to know that we have blades, again still a 25mm interior diameter. Issue, I'd say it's an issue, something with 7 chambers hilts, they have a very tight emitter. You might struggle to get a standard 1-inch blade into your emitters, and that runs true right across the range from my first 7 chambers hilt that I received, which is the Vestige, through to the Emissary V2s, which is a lovely hilt in the hand, and is actually an Imperial Knight inspired hilt as well. It's one of the more budget models, but has a very tight emitter. You're gonna possibly have to sand down a standard Ultra Sabers or a Saber Forge blade to squeeze that in. I've got a couple of cheap blades from YDD, that budget manufacturer over in Ningbo, I think, in China, that came through, and they have a slightly skinnier 25mm blade. They fit in snugly, so I tend to use those in my 7 chambers hilts. I don't tend to duel with them that much, apart from that one, which is one I had to weather, because they experimented with a powder coated finish on the Emissary V2s. It was less than ideal, and this one turned up with so many surface defects I actually had to weather it, which I found disappointing at the time, but actually turned out to be quite a cool little finish on the saber. It's actually one of my personal favourites now that I use as a stunt for dueling. And hey, you got to try these things. You know, powder coating didn't work. which is why they've moved back to anodizing. So, yeah, there you are. We've got 3 of these in stock. Comes with a stand, a few little niggles. I only got 2 complete stands because I actually only received 5 of those, 1 missing. So mine will not have a stand with it, which is a bit of a shame. But sure, I can fashion something random, or Lewis can send me a replacement. But otherwise, yeah, a nice tidy presentation. If you like your Imperial Knight hilts with a mirror finish, probably one of the reasons I don't like it, I don't like mirror finishes. But if you like your mirror finishes, that would be a great option for you, especially if you don't like the buttons either. If you prefer running with these little tactile buttons rather than the big 12mm momentary switches, which you tend to find on other sabers. I should also point out it does come with a heatsink. Heatsink's really nice, actually. Clunch. Heatsink's really nice big brass base. Can attest that the anodizing does stand up to having a heatsink dropped on it. But yeah, that's a nice little bonus. That will save you 20 New Zealand or Australian dollars when you're putting your build together. The open source chassis from 7 Chambers is available for you to request, download and 3D print yourself. Again, with a 24mm speaker. I'll take a variety of boards and an 18650, so that's a real cost effective way of getting some internals in there. You'll have to fashion your own crystal chamber if you want to take advantage of that feature though. That's it. So if you're an Imperial Knight fan, we've got 2 still in stock. Jump online, links in the video below. Go grab those. That's although we're the official 7 Chambers people down here in New Zealand and Australia, that's a good overview, warts and all. But on the whole, a very nice hilt, and I know the people who have actually been receiving these have really appreciated the work that's gone into putting these together. Okay, that's me. Make sure you subscribe to our videos below, just down there. Go on, do it now. Cool. Now click the bell button next to it so you get all the notifications. Perfect. And stay tuned for more technical videos, which is mainly what we'll be doing on this channel, and a few more warts and all overviews of any further hilts that we get in. So that's Roy from Sulphur City Foundry checking out. Enjoy your sabers, have a great day, go out and duel with them. Post your comments below. Catch you later.